You wanted deranged autistic rambling, you're gonna get deranged autistic rambling. Hey, I'm Mace, aka Kevin IRL, and I'm a 21-year-old college student obsessed with PJ Masks. Yes, that PJ Masks. The kids show. Now I know what you're all thinking. PJ Masks is a Disney Junior show targeted towards kindergartners, and it would be safe to say I'm slightly out of the target audience. I have every reason to avoid this show like the plague, or at the least be completely unaware it exists. There's just one small problem. You don't choose the hyperfixation chooses you. So sit back, relax, and allow me to tell you about the longest special interest I've ever had. PJ Masks aired on Disney Junior on September 18th, 2015, 9 years ago. That means the 5-year-olds who watched PJ Masks are now in high school, and I'm just old. The show's premise is simple. 3 kids transform into superheroes at night and fight kid villains. Don't ask questions. PJ Masks was adapted from a 2007 book series created by French author Romuald, titled Le Pyjamasque. The series is similar to the show in some ways, but also incredibly different in terms of themes, lore, and character design. Many of the characters in the show are adapted from the books, and after PJ Masks aired, the book series underwent a soft reboot to more closely resemble the show. I haven't had a chance to really read the books because it's tough to get your hands on them outside of France, much less find a good translation, but I do know that there's a scene where Glue Glue eats Sorceling's moths, so yeah. PJ Masks wasn't originally predicted to do well due to Disney's history with acquired foreign series, but the show went on to become pretty popular, becoming a cash cow franchise and airing for 6 seasons as of last April. That's pretty crazy for a Disney Junior show, where most shows stop at 3 seasons. It's obvious the show was designed to sell a lot of merch, and that it did. At one point, sales of PJ Masks merchandise surpassed both Frozen and Disney Princess merch sales, which for someone who survived the Frozen craze is absolutely insane. I didn't know this till recently, but PJ Masks even had a live show with original songs, including this one that didn't make the cut.
She knows just what to do to save the day. Hawks need glasses, eagles have to squint. Robins are useless and chickens are chicken.
Children everywhere were captivated by these tiny superheroes in colorful costumes, one of which unfortunately was me. The first episode aired when I was 12, so to say I am far from the target audience is a bit of an understatement. I watched the show with my younger sister when it came out and never really stopped watching it. I always loved Disney Junior shows and kids shows in general, but this particular show spoke to me in a way that no other show had. The show's characters and concept immediately had me in a chokehold, and I quickly grew enamored with the characters and design of the show. Luna Girl became my favorite character pretty early on, considering she was in the first full episode of the show. To this day, she's my all-time favorite character, not just in PJ Masks, but in any media. This is not an exaggeration, I'm being completely serious. Her autistic personality and alien looks have captivated me. I put a lot of the blame for my PJ Masks and Luna obsession on my favorite episode, Gecko Saves Christmas, where Gecko and his friends befriend Luna and spend Christmas with her. That episode permanently altered my brain chemistry, and it wasn't long before I had a teen AU in the works. Many of you are familiar with my AU or know the history behind it, and that topic alone could honestly fill up a whole video on its own, so I'll keep this brief. Originally, the AU focused on a teenage Amaya losing her memories and abandoning Greg and Connor, but after the Luna obsession set in, the focus quickly shifted to Luna and Amaya's relationship. Over time, it became a Luna backstory, and as my Lunaco obsession gradually won out over my Lunalette obsession, it eventually turned into the young adult AU I now have today. After watching season 1 on loop for a year or two, I eventually got tired of waiting for the second season and got preoccupied with other fandoms like Ninjago and Miraculous. Although I stopped keeping up with the show, my AU was alive and well throughout those few years, and PJ Masks was constantly on my mind. The hyperfixation never really died. I just spent my high school years trying to convince myself that I didn't like the show. Fast forward to 2020. During quarantine, my sister and I watched a few episodes of PJ Masks for nostalgia, and that's when I realized that I never stopped liking PJ Masks. We pulled an infamous all-nighter catching up on the 2 seasons we missed, then spent the rest of quarantine watching season 4. I became active in the fandom, well, the very small fandom, for the first time, and I've kept up with the show ever since. As I've come to terms with my PJ Masks obsession, I've spent more time analyzing the show and trying to figure out what about it draws me in so much. First and foremost, I love a show where all the characters have distinct personalities and good chemistry with each other, and PJ Masks is one of those shows. These characters have great potential for interactions, and I think they live up to it for the most part. Catboy and Owlette are queen bees, Gecko is the nice guy and voice of reason, Luna's a bored attention seeker, Night Ninja is a zesty single mom, and Romeo's just evil. I also can't talk enough about the design of this show. Just like My Little Pony, PJ Masks somehow manages to make a somewhat garish color scheme palatable, and it's one of the most aesthetically pleasing shows I've ever seen. The sets and character designs are instantly recognizable, and the animation is top tier, despite being a little off in the first couple seasons. The retro aesthetic and jazzy OST pays homage to vintage superhero shows like Batman, and the glowing elements and 2D details for elements like fire and water have me in a chokehold. And, as if the show wasn't already good, around season 4 the show got yossified and the animation just became stunning. PJ Masks is a show known for its concept of mysterious child superheroes roaming the streets at night in a town where no one seems to care when they wake up and the town is destroyed. The plot holes and incoherence of the show is a pet peeve to many people, but I actually think the lack of coherent lore works in the show's favor. Like Backyardigans, pretty much anything is possible and there's few boundaries. Nothing makes sense and it doesn't have to. It's just for fun and adds to the whimsy of their world. I think this is one of the reasons the show ran as long as it did, because the writers just never ran out of material. I love theorizing as much as the next person, but you gotta have a sense of whimsy to enjoy this show. On that note, the show makes me laugh. PJ Masks isn't meant to be a comedy, and this is awesome. I love shows that don't force feed you humor because it allows me to pick and choose what I think is funny. I hardly ever watch this show alone because it's way more fun with a good group. PJ Masks is a pretty formulaic show, so our inside jokes, references, and call and response moments just make it that much more fun to watch. I even made a PJ Masks bingo card. With the right people, things that weren't even supposed to be funny are hilarious. If you haven't noticed already, the majority of my content is just clips of the show that I find funny, and I just hope it finds the right audience. The 6th and latest season of PJ Masks saw a major Avengers-like rebranding, and in my opinion, way too many new characters. I'm not the biggest fan of Power Heroes, as I'm more fond of the main PJ Masks trio, but the show is still entertaining and holds up. From what I can see, the rebranding brought in a ton of new fans, and people really seem to like the new characters, so a win is a win, I guess. There's some obvious differences in the show's format, but it's still the same show, and I appreciate that they stay true to their roots.
It's the right time to fight time. I still can't think of a rhyme. You remember that all started with just Owlette, Catboy, and Gecko, right? Guess the new guys are making me old news now.
Right now, it's uncertain whether PJ Masks will see a 7th season, but there's been no announcement of the show's cancellation, so I guess we're just on hiatus for now. And personally, it's alright with me if the show ends. 6 seasons is crazy for a Disney Junior show, and frankly, that's enough episodes to last me a lifetime. So, do I have a legitimate reason to like PJ Masks above all other TV shows? No. It's my favorite show solely because the hyperfixation chose me. I think it's funny, I think the characters and lore are interesting, and I don't really care if it's a technically good show or not. PJ Masks definitely isn't for everyone. I'll be the first to admit that it's redundant, has a lack of continuing storylines, and the lore is just about non-existent. Most people will find it boring, or at the least, just annoying. I don't expect people to like it the way I do. It's for toddlers. It's cringe. It wasn't made for adults. It was made for kids. However, the Bluey, Trolls, and Word Girl crazes helped me to realize that no one gets to decide what my interests are. I spent 8 years in the PJ Masks closet, so to speak, only to grow up and realize that no one actually cares. When I came out to my friends, they were crazy supportive, and some of them even started watching the show. The main thing I've learned from having an embarrassing interest is this: to be cringe is to be free. I've been happier since I've come to terms with my interest, and I hope you can do the same, no matter what it is you're self-conscious about. Life's too short to worry about what people think. Have fun! I did not expect my video reacting to El Mushtari's Gun Tech AU to randomly blow up after a month. Your comments are all so sweet, and I love to see a community come together like this. I hope the algorithm will choose me again, because despite the, unexpected drama in the PJ Masks community, PJ Trash is my baby, and I definitely plan on making more content for you guys. Special shout out, by the way, to Chris, my partner in crime, who made the stills for me. They're so talented, and you should totally check them out. If you liked the autistic rambling, I plan to yap again, so be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.